because last year we had the performance of the in English at 65.4, but this time it was 60. Sorry, that is not the performance. That is the percentages. Sorry, you excuse me. Let me not first quote the percentages. I'll get to them. But generally, in English, in mathematics and science, there was improvement. Okay. It is only SST that we see some decline in the overall performance. Save for the percentages, I said I'm going to pick them after, but we are happy that there was improvement this year overall in performance. Okay.
That's interesting. So, Madam Jennifer, were there any notable trends in the performance, things to do with how performance was? Were there any notable performances we could bring out for clarity?
I think the notable trends usually is the learners usually and the girls usually perform better in English, but then also for the other subjects, the math, the science, and the SST, then the boys tend to perform better. Although overall the performance of girls was better than that of boys, and but of course we also had more girls registering for the examination. We had 52% of the candidates who were actually girls. So it's more or less maybe proportional expected. But I think what we need to look at is not so much about the gender disparities, but also we need to look at the general, about the learners generally. The other trend that we want to look at are the government-aided schools, the UPE schools, the performance of the UPE schools. By and large, they are performing fairly well, by the way. They tend to perform quite well. But also, we also have more learners registered. About, I think, 56% of the learners who are registered are in government-aided schools, the UPE schools, which is a vote of confidence in the government schools. And we want to encourage even as they are going to the next level of the secondary. If you can get into a government school, a youth school, they are equally good schools. So people at times struggle so much. They are into private schools, and at the time of registration, they cannot be able to register. We have people who haven't received their results right now simply because of school fees balances. And so what to encourage the parents? You don't always have to be in a private school. The government-aided schools are equally good, both at primary level and at secondary level. But we've seen the government schools equally competitive, by the way. Yes. The performance in government schools is equally good as that in the private schools. So they are equally good.
Okay. Yeah, so my brother, maybe to recap with the percentages, I was comparing performance of last year to this year in terms of subjects. Yes. So I was saying that English was better performed this year because overall 89.5% passed the English compared to 87.1% of last year. Okay. And in science, you can see that last year the passing was at 89.6, but this time it was 91. And I think that is good enough. We are going up. And in mathematics, whereas last year we were at 80.7%, this time around it was 85.3%. It was only in SST where we see a bit of a decline, though not very, you can say negligible because it was at 88.6, but this time it was 88. Okay. Not very significant as such, but yeah, it is a decline as we can say in SST. So we find this year a little bit improved in terms of performance.
That's interesting.
Yes.
And maybe, Madam Jennifer, if I could go back slightly about the notable trends. So don't you think there is a concern if the boys statistics continue reducing, because now we are also seeing it at the upper levels where girls are being more, even in graduating or sort of. Don't you think there's something there?
Definitely there is. We need to be concerned about that, and as elders, as people in the sector, we need to see how we do the balance. And for us as UNEB, one of our values is equitable. It is equity. We do equitable assessment. We promote equitable assessment. That is why you see for us, we look out for all these trends. We look out for the gender. We look out for the people with disabilities, just to say, are we actually doing the right thing? One thing about UNEB is that what UNEB does, we are at the tail end, but we are like a dashboard. What UNEB provides is a dashboard to the sector. Try and see how are we doing. how many girls do we have, how many boys do we have. So this is a dashboard which all of us are supposed to use and say, hey, something is happening here. The girls are, the boys are not performing as well, so what can we do to encourage more boys to get into the sector? I mean, to ensure that more boys complete the cycle, because it's an issue about also completion. So maybe along the way now we have to look back 3-4 years. The issue of COVID is something we cannot ignore, because during that time lots of things happened. There people actually dropped out. Maybe they got into some small sector business, into some business here and there, and they never actually got back to school. So the time now is try and pick up and see if they did not complete the cycle, where exactly are they?
Maybe I want to add something in a different angle, that boys being fewer than girls could also be picked from the population, because when you look at the national population and maybe internationally, women are more than men. So here in Uganda it couldn't be different. You may find that we register more girls at this level, where every parent is so interested in educating their children, because that is what the population suggests, that we have more women than men, and therefore more girls than boys at this level. The trend changes as you go up, because most girls sometimes drop out because of the factors, of course, that you may know also. But at this level where everybody is interested in education, the girls are likely to be more. It's not so worrying, though, as my sister said, the population has to be sensitized. There are areas where boys are now going for trade. We have seen, there was a research done in the eastern region, for example, where more boys are in fishing, sugarcane growing, and of course doing business at borders. Those can also be some of the factors, but population levels can also be looked at.
But of course, like how we said earlier about the trends, now in terms of performance, you find that now just to get the figures clearly, in English, like we said, the girls performed better in English than the boys, and 90.6% of the girls did perform well, did pass English, and 88.3% of the boys did pass English. But when you come to SST, the boys pass at 89% and the girls pass at 87%. And then in science, the boys pass at 92% and the girls pass at 89%. And in math, it's 87 for boys and 83 for girls. Not so much of a difference, but still something. So we need to also encourage the girls to take up some of these subjects, like the science subjects, the mathematics, because it's got to be a balance, and now science is also being promoted. So even where the girls have performed well, we still need to make sure we encourage them to have to take up the science subjects. And just to say something outside here, something that I've been battling with, to encourage our female teachers to also teach mathematics. Because and science, when you go into our schools, just try your school where your kids or your sister go to school, and you look, we have female teachers at up till P3, P5, P6, P7, we do not have many female teachers. So our girls don't have many mentors at that stage. At that stage, our girls fail to relate well for some reason or the other. They are developing in so many ways, and they need to have some of these female teachers. But because the female teachers don't teach that subject, it's kind of discourages them in one way or another. So I want to encourage our colleagues out there who are teachers, please try and see how you can get into teaching mathematics at the candidate class level, P6, P7 level.
It's really important, because most of the lower classes, but when you head up,
because they are mothers, they have a soft touch, and it is taken that way. But I think that soft touch is needed all through, up to the high classes, up to P7, because children need to be also looked at as children by their teachers, and therefore this very hard teacher who is going to make the children sing and cry the whole day cannot encourage them, in case the men do that. But I'm not saying exactly that, but the ladies have to really take it up, that they have to be teaching vertically to encourage our children.
You are the principal examinations officer. Maybe if we dive into a little bit of grading, were there any changes in terms of grading for this particular year?
I don't want to say it was there. It's not as such, because our grading, the way it is right now, is really dependent on performance. That one is known. But I don't want to think there was any change.
Okay.
It's still the same. We look at the performance and that is how they judge it. Yes.
Okay. Maybe Jennifer, what do you think would have inspired the variations in performance? Maybe finding girls perform better in English, maybe finding boys performing better in science, things like that, or the overall performance. What inspired what do you think inspired the variations?
I don't want to talk to that is the critical research issue really. I don't want to go, okay, yes, I can give my own opinion. Part of it I've given. I think the inspiration of the mathematics teachers at that level is very critical, and we have English teachers at that level. Even for our exam, because to become an examiner of UNEB, you must be teaching the subject. So you find that for the subjects like English, we have many female examiners. SST, we have female examiners. Come to science and math, we have very few female examiners. Reason being, we have very few of them who teach the subject at that level. So, but I wouldn't want to really see what could but it's been the trend over the years. If you look at over the year, that has been the trend. So that is a bigger issue of the ministry, and also maybe a bigger research issue. We need to look into that trend and see why has it been like this or something like that. Another issue which came up during the release, which came up, and was the issue about the learners who were ungraded. This time round, there were about over 88,000, and it was an issue of concern. And our chairperson, Professor Celestine Obua, did request that these learners be given an opportunity to repeat in the UPE schools. And I think the minister also went ahead to emphasize that the local governments should encourage and make sure that these learners actually go ahead and repeat, so they can be able to get their certificate, because it is very critical. So for all of us in the sector, to all the parents out there, we want to encourage you, in case you have a learner who is ungraded, anybody who has received, who is graded, that is good enough. Division 8, that is good enough. But anybody who is not graded, we need to encourage our learners, we need to encourage them to go back and register. Let them go to the government UPE schools. They will be accommodated. So we want to encourage everybody, the elders, let's support these learners to go back. However, they may be looking big size and everything, it is okay, but they need this document. It's a basic document, it's the best certificate they are going to need, so we want to encourage them to go back to school and repeat.
Okay. And maybe
you asked a question, of course, looking at the overall performance, the factors hindering. We don't want to give an impression that yes, overall the girls are performing better than the boys at this level. When you look at the overall performance and the percentages given, the boys, of course, at the end of the day came up as victors in the overall performance, because they are rated at 47.4%, whereas the girls are below that overall. So I want to imagine that there are so many factors that are hindering good overall performance for the girls. Of course, when you look at our society and the distractions that they are in society, you find that the girls are more affected. When most of our schools are day schools and girls walk distances to reach school, some of these factors have been researched that when along the way there are so many distractions for girls. So some of them are distracted because they tend to grow and give impressions that they are adults. There are people who distract girls who have tended to be adults, the adolescents, the young men, the border borders. You have heard it. Not everyone, they will excuse me for citing that name out, but those distractions stop the girls from performing. And in some parts of our country, you have also heard that when girls become of age, they lack some materials like sanitary towels, which make them feel uncomfortable at school. So when the girl has her periods and she's distracted, she's not comfortable, she doesn't have even that sanitary towels to use, her performance will automatically go down, because when the teacher is in class, she may decide to hide and go away from the school. She will go out to the toilet and hide because maybe she's not feeling decent. And this happens to many of them because we have very few who can afford this in in Uganda, I think, currently, and I have had discussions over this where we are encouraged to devise means of helping the girl child to get these materials, the sanitary towels, so that they can keep in school. So you may find that overall, why they don't perform well is because they lack what can make them comfortable when they are in school. Yes.
Okay. That is really, really important to note, mostly for the girl child when they're in their menstruation, all that things. Yes, it is true. Those things do distract them. And now, Madam Jennifer, do we have any statistics maybe about the disparities in performance depending on the regions? Maybe urban areas are doing like this, or rural areas are performing like this, or maybe do we have a comparison on that for the past years as well, if we could have that? Or maybe what is also what has because I'm pretty sure the performance is truly not good, not tallying. You find the urban schools are surely doing very well compared to the rural schools. So what could also be the challenge there?
First and foremost, now that you've mentioned that, I want there is some myth that goes around that UNEB marks urban schools different from the rural schools. That is a very weird one. First and foremost, the way we do the marking, before I get to your question, just to create an idea, our system is our examination and our marking is standard. It is standardization. We do not want to know that maybe to say that people in urban schools were marked at, I don't know, the grading is standardized. That's the bottom line. So, and I've seen people even at this level who will make their children come to a Kampala school and study from there until third term. They register them in a rural area because they think they are going to be graded separately, which is quite unfortunate. That said, I don't have the example, but I want to just give a highlight of some of the districts that had poor performance, whereby you find that the candidature or the candidates were ungraded, the ones we talked about. We have districts like Chibuku, where 31.5% of their candidates were not graded. Okay. We have districts like Madi Okolo, 31.5% were not graded. Dokolo, 28.9% were not graded. Kweni, 28.4% were not graded. Namisindwa, 28.9% were not graded. And many others have an average of about 20% of the learners who are not graded. If we were to use that as an indication on the passing of the districts, on how the division did perform. But overall, really, you can't say maybe the urban, of course the urban districts tend to be maybe better positioned for some way or for in one or the other. We find that in the urban areas the parents have more time to participate in the learning process of their learners, of the candidates, of the children at home, unlike in the rural areas. And it has been proved over time, especially in the days of COVID, that where parents are involved in the learning of their children, the children tend to perform better. Their confidence is much better. The way they perform, the way they talk, the way they analyze issues, their competencies are brought up better because they have that they have that confidence given to them by their parents, which is not very common in the rural areas. Much as the town people are busy, somehow for some reason they tend to find time to be with their children somehow by the grace of God. So overall you find that the performance in the rural areas in some areas is not so good, and then in the urban areas it is fairly good, it's better. But in terms of grading, with our grading is very standard, so you don't have to say, because we're not going to say that if you're all competing to go to school X, we can't say that school X now the people who came from, I don't know, this rural area should be given maybe, like tomorrow ministry is going to do what they call the selection. I don't think they select you according to which school you are coming from. Okay. So overall the performance maybe is 50-50, but some schools have more ungraded learners than the other districts rather. Okay.
And we saw, Madam Rose, we saw over 12,000 students or pupils not standing up to do exams.
Yeah.
What is the challenge? Have you found out yet?
We have been instructed to make research over this. We have not found out. But the truth is the 12,000 plus were absent, registered and disappeared. I think we would find it difficult now to say because of ABCD, since we were instructed to research, we shall maybe be given a chance to come back and say the research showed that these people were absent because of ABCD. Maybe we would leave that. I just wanted to recap on what she has just discussed regarding performance with rural versus urban. As she put it, we have a balanced performance, and actually society or parents have tended to think that we favor the rural schools. That shows something, that when they look at what is in the rural schools, they have spent so much here in town, but the other cousin, the other friend's daughter or son got better results. I think that talks volumes. And I want to say that this actually goes back to what we talked about here one time, that our setting has focused on what the child can do and explain. It's no longer memorizing and producing answers. It is understanding, and some of these rural schools have made it a point to make children understand. And fortunately, there are so many things, what you would call visual aids or teaching aids, that are found in rural schools. When you, in science for example, when you talk about rearing chicken, children are seeing these things practically. Whereas the children in urban schools think that eggs are bought from supermarkets, the children in rural schools know that the hen will lay the eggs, hatch the chicks, and they even know the process because they even own these birds, and so many other processes, including brewing. And when you look at the questions nowadays, there is a bit of thinking and understanding the concept you have learned in class and now applying into the examination situation. I think I want to imagine this is what is lacking in some of our urban schools, and that is what has driven parents to think that in rural, the UNEB uses 2 marking guides. I've always told my friends and asked that if that was the case, and this is what I know very well, why wouldn't my children be back down there in Masaka or for that matter? But I have also kept them around here because maybe for factors that I know very well, maybe convenience of accessing them. But otherwise, I would have driven them to the rural areas and then bring back them here in the holidays. So there's nothing like different marking guides, different maybe syllabi, or it's the same. The approaches is what actually makes the difference. The teachers in the rural areas have seen it, have done it, but even then, even when they have not intended, the children see most of the things that are being asked practically where they stay. Yes.
Madam Jennifer, did we have cases of malpractice, and how is the comparison compared to the recent years?
Cases of malpractice. Yes, we did have cases of malpractice, unfortunately. This is a trend. The cases have reduced a little bit. Unfortunately, there is a new trend, because you see, UNEB is doing better in terms of managing the security of examinations, and want to thank God for the support and for our leadership. No longer do you hear, gone are the days when you hear before, like the paper is coming out tomorrow, and by this time the paper is all over, or people already know what's going to come. Even where we had the, at UCE, where we had the so-called Karim fresh Karim of the TikTok, who was telling people Akarina, Akasasi, and everything. It was a fake one. He was looking at a past paper. So for us, the leakage, because there are different forms of malpractice. The leakage, whereby people get to access the paper before it actually comes out, is the worst form of malpractice. You've touched Mr. Dongo's eye, up of his eye, and no one touches the up of his eye. Nobody. So that one we've done so well. And we've tightened so much. They can no longer access the papers even at the security points and at our containers and storage stations. So now this time round, they actually took us by surprise. teachers vividly wrote on the, you know, you'd see a video when a teacher is writing, an invigilator, kids are doing examination, and number one, he's writing the answers. Like, excuse me? I mean, they really took us by surprise, honestly. Unfortunately, of course, these are most of a number of these have been arrested, and the courts of laws are taking taking it up. So that shows how desperate they've actually come.
Okay.
So we have cases like in mathematics, like in SST, where because mathematics was the first paper, and you know, there is a lot of anxiety, and people really want to make sure they pass mathematics so well, because if you don't, then maybe it can actually destroy your grade, your grades or something like that. So yes, malpractice cases were there. We have still a number of schools which have been involved in malpractice, and they are still suspected cases until proven otherwise. So at this point in time, we have suspects of malpractice, and these learners are going to be invited to come to UNEB, and they defend themselves before a tribunal. Actually, and this tribunal is not a court of law; it is a tribunal which actually looks at the learners as the victims, and they are looking at them they are looking at their work, and they are there to defend them. So they give them the scripts, they defend them. So and say, I actually did this work myself, I did not get external assistance, and whatever reasons they may be able to give. And where there's a benefit of doubt, the benefit is given to the learner. Okay. So a number of them actually come out as victors, and they continue with the system. Others results may be cancelled where it is very vivid that, you know, they actually were involved in malpractice. Okay. I'll give you a case of mathematics. It is known that if you have a wrong working, you cannot get a correct answer. But because they are being supported last minute, the working may remain wrong, and then they end up writing the correct answer. And if examiners are like, how did you get here? And we use we have kind of like a triage, because we have reports from the examiners, reports from the scouts. At times we have whistleblowers reports indicating something like that. So it's not like UNEB just wakes up one day and there's a whole process. By the time papers are sieved out to be suspected for malpractice, you know, they've gone through a whole screening process. So yes, we have those cases, and they're going to appear before a tribunal to defend themselves, and those who convince the panel will be released. Okay. And to the parents and the teachers out there, in case the results of your learners were withheld, I want to request that let's be humane with them. Let's talk to them, encourage them, tell them it is not the end of the world. Actually, a number of children come out victorious. At this point in time, we've not proven that they were actually involved in malpractice. It is still suspicion. So they will be given their scripts, and they have an opportunity to defend themselves. So please, let's encourage them. I know many of them are strays, they don't know what's going to be next. Let's support them in as much as possible, much as may have been involved in a wrong, but it was actually the elders who got them. And I want to thank God for the UNEB Act, because the UNEB Act provides for those provisions for these elders, the teachers who are leading children into malpractice. The offense, you can either be imprisoned for 5. It could either be 5 to 10 years, or you pay a fine of 20 to 40 million shillings, or both, depending on what the judgment may be.
Okay, maybe still on that, do we have a time frame for when they could be released for those that were withheld?
Oh yes, we have a schedule of hearing, listening to these people, to these children. At the end of February, these people are going to be invited. We are going to send letters of invitation to the schools, their heads, and of course the directors. District officials normally accompany these people, so they are going to come and defend, as she has said. But I want to add something, that around this time the public is duped, because the fraudsters are also very alert to what is going on. They have known that school A has no results, the results were confiscated. So they are busy telling them all sorts of stories, how they can solicit money and give so many millions, and so I want to warn the people, the schools that are affected in this kind of in malpractice, that please do not listen to people who are encouraging you to pay money so that your results can be released. That does not happen at UNEB. They need to wait patiently, bring the children, and what the children will say and what they will also say as administrators will make the board release or hold on to the results. So the process is going to begin soon. And maybe when O level is out of the way, we shall begin, because all these have to be done at the same time. But otherwise, it is pathetic for those schools and the children, and they need to be patient, because if they are not, they get into more danger, losing money, losing everything, credibility, and everything like that. Yes.
Okay. Now, maybe Madam Jennifer, basing on the comprehensive review for these results that were released, do we have any recommendations, maybe to the schools or to the parents and all that?
I will say a little bit, then Madame Rose will say, because that is basically her area.
Okay.
One of the recommendations, I think, first and foremost, want to thank the schools for having brought, for the work that they do, because if they do not give us candidates, we are not, then we have no work to do. You are talking about the absentees. It is, UNEB assesses learners that have been presented to us, and now it is the duty of the schools to make sure that they register these learners, and to ensure that for every learner that has been registered, they actually sit the examination. I know we have issues of school fees balances, but like UNEB, yesterday I had a director who was thanking me and saying, UNEB, you're doing this so well, thank you so much. We did actually give in our list of learners who had school fees balances, and UNEB did withhold the results. They did not appear on the SMS, and they're not able to get them until the learners have actually cleared. So that is a good thing. So right now, to the schools, what we want to encourage you is, make sure when the registration opens up, please do register your learners, but follow them through. Make sure that you do not lose, and let's be like Jesus. They are going to ask us one time, one day. For us, we are supposed for the ones who have been given to us. But when you register your learners, please make sure they all actually do sit these examinations. So we reduce the number of absentees. It is a very big concern to all of us in the sector, and it is a joint responsibility. Please make sure, just as you strive to register these learners, let's make sure that all the ones who are registered do write the end of cycle examinations. And then we have schools that need to get new examination centers, or schools that need to expand their centers. Very soon we are going to be opening up. Please do make sure you check on the portal, so you can be able to access and expand your center, even get your own center. Some of these schools, you find they are getting issues simply because they are registered in somebody else's center or something like that. And you can get your own center as well. So if you have the requirements, please go ahead and register for the examination. But I want to encourage you to please do make sure teaching and learning actually takes place, because that is what results into the malpractice at the end. If you don't do effective teaching and learning, you panic at the end, and then you want to cheat for the learners, and then you end up in trouble.
I wish to add, my brother, that when a paper is done and we have done the assessment, given out the results, we do another activity. We prepare a report as UNEB. There's a report on the work of candidates. I want to encourage the schools not to neglect this report. This report is sent on the school portals, and those who cannot access can actually, we no longer print, but in case a school thinks they cannot access their portal, they can even come and ask for somebody, maybe in our offices. We can avail information. But this report is very, very good for the schools which have such candidates. Because if you found challenges, you are asking why you don't have the 4s, you don't have the 5s. UNEB has gone ahead to show you where children made errors, why they were not able to answer a set of questions, why they were not able to complete this question. UNEB has gone ahead to analyze. So it is incumbent upon the teachers to get that report and look at everything that made children fail, because all the subjects are analyzed and put in one report. What schools are doing, they don't download this report, they don't print for the children, for the teachers I mean, to look at it. They only pay, because there is a cost of 10,000 on their portals, pay and ignore, because they just make a reach of payment, but they don't get the report. And I find that defeating for them. So I want to encourage them as much as possible to start from that. And two, our marking guides are also now open. We never used to give out marking guides to the public. in our sales points, communications house, even at UNEB sales point, the marking guides are there. When at point A, when we are ready, we shall have them out. So they can look at the marking guides and see how questions are asked and answered, so that they can get effective guidance. When they do that, I believe all our children will be able to fare well in examinations. They should be focusing on the coming years and improve on their performance.
Right.
Yes.
That is really, really interesting. And of course, remember, we've been discussing a comprehensive review of the recently released PLE results, and here with me are the UNEB officials. Madam Jennifer is the principal PRO, and Madam Rose is the principal examinations officer at UNEB. And maybe as we wind up, if you could have some last words, because surely our time is fast spent. Madam Jennifer.
Thank you so much. First and foremost, I want to send gratitude to Family TV for always inviting us and giving us this forum. This is indeed a Family TV, and it's always a pleasure to get here and share whatever we have to share regarding the examinations. So I want to thank you very much. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank the media, colleagues in the media who have been with us this far. They always support, very supportive. Thank you very much for giving us an opportunity. And everybody that we did work with in the examination, the military people, the scouts, the invigilators, the schools that did allow us to mark from their locations, from their centers. I want to thank you all very much. Above all, want to thank the parents. Without you, we wouldn't be anywhere, because you are the ones who give us the candidates. You are the ones who pay for their school fees. Even those who are in the government-aided schools, you still go ahead and you provide and you make sure your learners come to school. So we are very grateful. For the next stage where we are going at is also very critical. This is just a gate. Learners are just passing from one gate going to another level, and we need to support them very much. So let's make sure we make guided decisions, support our learners. When you're choosing a school, look out for the values you want. If you're a family and you have certain values, like Christian values or Islamic values, whatever it could be, don't just look at the academics, because we want to have learners that are all round. So let's look out for some of those values. Things that Madam Rose talked about, the competencies, where they are going right now is going to be competence-based assessment. We are looking at not just the academics of knowing that, where is Family TV. We are looking at, what
can Family TV offer out to the public.
How can you benefit? So it's about how the competencies. You're looking at the learners being able to apply the knowledge practically. So you may have to think critically about all that when you're choosing a school to take your child to. But all I want to assure you that government schools are equally good and very competitive. So for me, I actually do traditional, and I want to encourage family members out there, if you like me, go ahead and do traditional. Otherwise, we want to wish all our learners all the best. You're going to another level at senior one. Be alert, but listen to your parents, listen to your teachers, but also make sure that you pray about everything that concerns your studies, and the Lord will see you through.
Well, thank you so much, Madam Rose.
Thank you very much. I would just have to thank Family TV and everybody that is watching this program and all other programs that are educational. I want to thank our institution UNEB for supporting all the processes, our ministry, Mother Ministry, and everybody that supports all the teachers, every member of the community that supports our activities in UNEB. I want to thank them so much. I will also encourage the learners, please do not die. When you get a school where your education can go on, please accept. Some parents are dying, forget, everybody is lining up, very big lines in maybe 2 schools or 3. Let's get composed and say, yes, when I'm serious, I can also learn from this environment and proceed with education. Otherwise, we thank you very much. May God bless you all.
Thank you so much. It has really, really been interesting to have you here and discussing PLE results that were recently released. Now, up next is going to be UCE. By the way, do we know when?
Not yet.
Okay.
Our program's shifted.
We shall let you know.
Shall let
They
you
do
know.
not want to practice malpractice, which is really, really interesting. But it has been a pleasure to surely have you here. I will not be so much different from Madam Jennifer. You know, we're having so many schools being advertised on so many platforms. So what I always advise you is make sure you first do a pilot study in that particular school where you want to take your child, so that you don't have any issues to do with the school and your child manners. So it has been interesting. My name is Luke Majumba Alinaitwe, and remember, we are powered by Protea Hotel by Marriott in Entebbe. You should go and truly check out that place. For us here right now, we say have a blessed day.
Issues at hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.